Welcome to the deep dive, everyone. We're here to help you zero in on the crucial updates for your UPSC preparation.
That's right. Today we're covering key news items from around April 13th, 2025. This is part 1.
Think of this as your focused briefing. We'll hit the essentials, and some topics might be familiar, a good chance for revision, maybe.
Absolutely. We've got quite a range today. We'll touch on geology in Alaska, some defense news from India, agriculture, industry stats.
Conservation, climate patterns, even an international perspective on India.
Exactly. The goal is to unpack these, highlight what's really important for your understanding without, getting totally lost in the details.
Okay, let's dive right in then. First up, some geological news. Mount Spurr in Alaska.
Ah, yes, Mount Spurr.
Seems there's been a cluster of mini earthquakes detected recently, and scientists are, well, a bit concerned about a potential eruption.
It's understandable. Mount Spurr is an active stratovolcano complex. And importantly for potential hazards, it's heavily covered in ice and snow.
Right. Located at the southern edge of a break in the Alaska range, mostly andesite, I believe.
Correct. And it's not just a simple cone structure. You've got a breached stratovolcano, a summit lava dome, and that crater peak vent. It's quite a system.
It's pretty big too, right? Around 3,000 meters high.
Yeah, and with a significant caldera, about 5 by 6 kilometers. Understanding that scale is important for physical geography.
And it has a history. That Chakratona Lake formed from a crater collapse, 10,000 years ago?
Roughly, yes. Shows long-term geological activity.
Mm-hmm.
And the more recent eruption in '92, well, that caused serious ashfall, disrupted flights. A real-world impact example.
So, thinking about UPSC aspirants, what are the key takeaways here? Considering Alaska's location, what determines the potential impact of such an eruption?
Well, factors like eruption size, ash volume, wind direction are critical. Also, the interaction with ice and snow can cause lahars, mud flows, which are extremely destructive. And ash clouds pose a major risk to aviation, potentially globally.
Okay, good points. Let's shift now from potential natural hazards abroad to a long-running issue here in India, the Mahadayi River water dispute.
Ah, the Mahadayi, or Mandovi, as it's known in Goa. Yes, a very sensitive issue.
The latest development seems to be protests over proposed land acquisition by Karnataka. It's for the Bandura Nala Water Diversion Project.
That's part of the larger Kalasa-Banduri project, yes.
Mm-hmm.
The aim is to divert water from the Mahadayi Basin.
Which is primarily in Goa.
Exactly. Divert it to the Malaprabha River Basin in Karnataka. Mainly for drinking water needs in several districts there. This is classic interstate water dispute territory, really important for polity and governance studies.
And the river's geography makes it complex. It starts in Karnataka, Bimgad Wildlife Sanctuary.
Flows briefly through Maharashtra, but then the main stretch, about 76 kilometers out of 111, is in Goa before it hits the Arabian Sea near Panaji.
So Goa is heavily reliant on it. Panaji's on its banks, Old Goa too, and the Salim Ali Bird Sanctuary.
Precisely. It underscores the ecological and economic significance for Goa. And this dispute, it's been simmering since the 1980s, really illustrates how tough these negotiations can be.
So for UPSC prep, what are the main hurdles in resolving these interstate water disputes? What mechanisms do we even have?
Well, the challenges are numerous. Political factors, historical usage claims, lack of reliable data sometimes, and often zero-sum perceptions. Mechanisms include bilateral negotiations, tribunals set up under the Interstate River Water Disputes Act, and ultimately the Supreme Court can intervene. But tribunals themselves can take decades.
Right, it's often a very protracted process. Okay, switching gears now. Let's talk defense. DRDO has conducted successful trials of a long-range glide bomb, Gaurav.
Yes, Gaurav. This is quite significant for India's indigenous defense capabilities. It's a 1,000-kilogram class bomb.
Designed and developed indigenously, you said, by DRDO's RCI in Hyderabad.
Primarily, yes, but with collaboration from private industry and MSMEs, which is also noteworthy. The key thing here is the glide capability.
So unlike a regular bomb that just falls?
Right. These have fins or wings. Think of it like an unpowered drone almost. After release, it uses aerodynamics and its initial momentum to glide towards the target over long distances. No engine.
And the big advantage there is standoff range, isn't it? The launch aircraft can stay further away.
Exactly. It keeps the plane safer from enemy radar and air defense systems, reduces risk significantly.
And the specs are impressive. 4 meters long, 3.4-meter wingspan. Launched from high altitude, it can glide over 100 kilometers.
That's the reported range, yes. Over 100 kilometers when launched from above 40,000 feet. And it uses a dual guidance system, INS and GPS, for accuracy.
So for defense and security studies, how does developing something like Gaurav enhance India's position, strategic deterrence, power projection?
It certainly enhances both. Long-range precision strike capabilities are crucial for deterrence, showing potential adversaries you can hit valuable targets from a safe distance. It removes offensive capabilities and offers more flexibility in planning air operations. It's a definite force multiplier.
Makes sense. Okay, from military tech, let's dive into something really fundamental. Particle physics. News from the KATRIN experiment in Germany.
Ah, yes, the Karlsruhe tritium neutrino experiment. They're trying to pin down the mass of the neutrino.
One of the universe's most elusive particles, right? Tiny, neutral, fundamental to the standard model, but the exact mass is unknown.
Extremely lightweight. We know they have some mass, which is actually beyond the original standard model, but measuring it is incredibly difficult. Their mass is tiny, like millions of times smaller than an electron's.
And KATRIN's approach is, well, pretty clever, studying the beta decay of tritium.
Exactly. Tritium is a hydrogen isotope. When it decays, it emits an electron and an electron antineutrino. The energy of that emitted electron is subtly affected by the neutrino's mass.
So by precisely measuring the electron's energy?
Especially those electrons with the maximum possible energy, they can figure out an upper limit for how much mass the neutrino could possibly have.
And the latest update, they've narrowed it down further.
Significantly, based on, I think, 36 million electron measurements. Quite a data set. They've reduced the upper limit to less than 0.45 electron volts, or EV. That's almost half the previous best limit.
That's remarkable precision, and it's worth mentioning India's involved in this field too, with the proposed India-based Neutrino Observatory, INO.
Yes, the INO project in Tamil Nadu, focusing on atmospheric neutrinos. It shows India's commitment to fundamental science research.
So why all this effort? For UPSC science prep, why is knowing the neutrino mass so important in the grand scheme of things?
Well, it has huge implications. Neutrino mass affects our understanding of particle physics beyond the standard model. It also plays a role in cosmology, how the universe evolved, the formation of large-scale structures like galaxies. Knowing their mass helps refine cosmological models. It's fundamental to understanding the universe's building blocks in history.
Fascinating stuff. Okay, let's shift focus again, this time to wildlife conservation. Good news, it seems, about Asiatic lions.
Ah, the lions of Gur. Yes, reports suggest they're expanding their range.
Moving beyond the Gur forests in Gujarat, sometimes even seen in coastal areas like Diu.
That's what's being observed. It's a positive indicator, really, considering their history. They're now found only in India, specifically that Gur landscape.
They used to be much more widespread, though, right? West Asia, Middle East.
Absolutely, but now extinct there. So Gur is their last stronghold. The 2020 census counted 674 lions across a fairly large area of Saurashtra, which is a testament to conservation success.
And that success is reflected in their IUCN status change from critically endangered to endangered. Still threatened, but improving.
Definitely. They are distinct from their African cousins, slightly smaller. Males have shorter manes, some differences in social structure too. The protected areas, Gur National Park since '65 and Gurnar Wildlife Sanctuary since 2008 are vital.
But expansion brings challenges too, doesn't it? Inbreeding risks in the core area, diseases, habitat loss, and potential human-lion conflict as they move into new areas.
Those are the key threats, yes, which is why initiatives like Project Lion are so important, aiming to establish a second population in Madhya Pradesh and improving disease management.
So, for environment and ecology studies, what does this range expansion signify? What are the management considerations when a protected species starts moving out?
It signifies conservation success, allowing the population to grow and seek new territories. But management needs to adapt. It requires monitoring corridors, managing human-wildlife conflict proactively in fringe areas, ensuring prey base availability, and continuing genetic management to maintain diversity. It's a complex, evolving challenge.
Indeed. Okay, let's turn to climate now. An update on ENSO, the El Niño Southern Oscillation.
Right. The big news is that the recent La Niña event in the tropical Pacific is over.
NOAA confirmed it. We're now in an ENSO neutral condition.
Yes, that's the official status. ENSO, as you know, involves those sea surface temperature fluctuations in the central and eastern tropical Pacific. Huge impact globally.
El Niño being the warm phase, La Niña the cool phase, and neutral is the transition.
Exactly. The March 2025 data showed sea surface temperatures weren't cool enough anymore for La Niña, even though some atmospheric patterns, like strong trade winds, took a bit longer to fade.
And for India, ENSO is critical because of the monsoon link.
Absolutely crucial. Generally, El Niño tends to weaken the Indian monsoon, while La Niña often enhances it. Given how much our agriculture and economy depend on the monsoon, tracking ENSO is vital.
And climate change might be affecting ENSO itself, making extreme events more frequent.
That's what some studies suggest, yes. Potentially more intense El Niños, which adds another layer of risk. And we also have to consider other factors like the Indian Ocean Dipole, the IOD, which can also influence our monsoon.
So given the sensitivity, what kind of strategies are needed to build resilience against these climate phenomena affecting India?
It's multifaceted. Better forecasting, obviously. Water resource management improvements like water harvesting and efficient irrigation. Promoting drought-resistant crops, crop insurance schemes, and diversifying the rural economy to reduce sole dependence on agriculture. It requires integrated planning.
Makes sense. Okay, let's look at an international perspective now. The Beijing India Report 2024 has been released.
Yes, this report has a couple of dimensions. One part marks the 30th anniversary of the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action on Gender Equality from 1995.
A major UN framework. India is a signatory, and we've enacted laws like the Domestic Violence Act, the POSH Act.
Correct. India has legislative frameworks in place. However, this part of the report apparently points to inconsistencies in implementation, challenges on the ground, basically. It also notes India's participation in other international agreements on gender and climate justice.
But there's another aspect to this report too, right? Analysis by Chinese think tanks.
Indeed. That part seems to focus more on India's economic and technological rise, its geopolitical strategy, areas like semiconductor manufacturing, the Indo-Pacific.
So China taking a close look at India's trajectory.
It seems so. It suggests a strategic interest from China in understanding India's growth, perhaps with an eye on recalibrating the bilateral relationship amidst existing tensions and, trade imbalances.
Interesting. For international relations studies, what does it signify when a major power like China produces such a detailed analysis of India? How should India view these kinds of external assessments?
Well, it signifies India's growing importance on the world stage. Such reports, while potentially biased, can offer insights into how others perceive India's strengths and weaknesses. India should analyze them critically, understand the motivations behind them, but also use them as feedback, potentially, for policy formulation and strategic communication. It's part of navigating complex international relations.
Right. Understanding external perceptions is key. Okay, let's turn to domestic economic indicators. The Index of Industrial Production, IIP.
The IIP figures. And the latest ones show a bit of a slowdown.
Yes, growth was only 2.9% in February 2025. That's the slowest in 6 months, apparently, and below expectations. For economics prep, IIP is a core indicator.
Absolutely. It measures the short-term volume changes in industrial production. Published by the CSO, base year 2011-12.
And manufacturing has the biggest weight, doesn't it?
By far. Over 77%, then mining around 14%, and electricity about 8%. And the slowdown in February was seen across all three sectors.
The report also mentions the 8 core industries. They have a big weight too, over 40%.
Correct. Things like refinery products, electricity, steel, coal, crude oil, natural gas, cement, fertilizers. Vital sectors. A slowdown there heavily impacts the overall IIP number.
So for UPSC economics, what could be behind this kind of deceleration and what policy options might be considered to boost industrial growth?
It could be various factors, maybe slowing global demand affecting exports, potentially high input costs, maybe some base effects from previous months, or perhaps tighter monetary policy starting to bite. Policy options could include fiscal measures to boost demand, reforms to improve ease of doing business further, targeted support for key sectors, or efforts to lower logistics costs.
A range of possibilities. Okay, moving to infrastructure. An update on the Amrit Bharat Station Scheme, ABSS.
The Railway Station Redevelopment Program. Yes, what's the news?
The railway minister announced that 104 stations out of the 1,300 being redeveloped are now complete. That seems like decent progress.
It is a significant milestone for such a large-scale scheme. ABSS was launched in February 2023, aiming for continuous, long-term modernization.
The idea is master plans for each station, implemented in phases.
Exactly. It's not just a facelift. It's about fundamentally improving amenities, better access, waiting areas, toilets, lifts, escalators, cleanliness, Wi-Fi, passenger information systems, the whole passenger experience.
But it's broader than just the station building itself, right?
Yeah.
Integrating with the city, multimodal connectivity.
Yes, that's a key aspect. Linking stations better with buses, metros, etc. Also, incorporating local culture in the design, using sustainable solutions, and ultimately the vision is for these stations to become sort of vibrant city centers.
So thinking about infrastructure's role in economic development, how significant are projects like ABSS?
Hugely significant. Modern transport infrastructure, especially railways in India, is fundamental. It improves efficiency, connectivity for people and goods, boosts tourism, creates jobs during construction and operation, and can stimulate development in surrounding areas. It's a catalyst for broader economic activity.
But these big projects must face challenges in implementation.
Oh, absolutely. Land acquisition can be slow, coordination between multiple agencies is complex, funding needs to be consistent, and sometimes there are technical or engineering hurdles. Ensuring timely completion without cost overruns is always a major challenge for large infra projects in India.
Understood. Okay, finally, let's look at the agricultural sector. The Union Cabinet has approved a new scheme.
Yes, the Modernization of Command Area Development and Water Management Scheme, M-CADWM.
It's a sub-scheme under the Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana, PMKSY, aimed at water management, clearly.
Precisely. With an initial outlay of 1,600 crore from 2025-26 onwards, the focus is on modernizing irrigation networks, making sure water actually reaches farms efficiently from existing sources.
So, improving water use efficiency is key here, using technology like SCADA and IoT.
That's a major thrust, using tech for better monitoring and control. Also, promoting underground pressurized piped irrigation systems, especially for smaller farms, to facilitate micro-irrigation like drip or sprinklers.
And it seems to involve farmers directly, too, through water user societies.
Yes, transferring irrigation management to these WS is part of it, empowering local communities, and helping them link up with farmer-producer organizations, or PCS, for better market access and support.
There's also a mention of attracting youth back to agriculture through modern techniques, and this builds on an older program.
Right. The original KATRIN program started way back in 1974-75. So this is a much-needed modernization push, especially given current water stress and the need for climate-resilient agriculture.
So for UPSC agriculture studies, how significant is this M-CADWM scheme? How can it contribute to sustainability and productivity?
It's potentially very significant. If implemented effectively, improving water use efficiency can save vast amounts of water, increase crop yields, reduce waterlogging and salinity, and make farming more viable, especially for smallholders. Key success factors will be effective technology adoption, strong institutional support for WS, and ensuring equitable water distribution. It addresses a critical bottleneck in Indian agriculture.
Okay, that wraps up our detailed look at these updates. So as we conclude this deep dive, covering developments around April 13th, 2025, Part 1, hopefully this has been useful for your UPSC focus.
We've spanned quite a bit: geology, water disputes, defense tech, fundamental science, conservation, climate, international reports, economic data, infrastructure, and agriculture.
And like you said, some of these might have been touched on before, so hopefully this served as good reinforcement too.
We aim to give you that clear perspective without, drowning you in information. It's clear how interconnected everything is, isn't it? Environmental changes affecting farming, tech impacting defense, and the economy.
Absolutely. It really paints a picture of the dynamic world you're preparing to engage with.
And just think, on one hand, you have experiments like KATRIN pushing the absolute frontiers of fundamental knowledge.
And on the other, seemingly local events like tremors under a volcano in Alaska reminding us of Earth's power and potential global impacts.
Reflecting on how these pieces fit together is part of the preparation journey itself.
Well said. So if you found this deep dive helpful for your preparation, please do take a moment to like and subscribe.
Your support really helps us continue bringing these focused sessions to you. And definitely dig deeper into any topic that caught your interest. There's always more to learn.
Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.